seem emotional right now. Tell me what you're feeling.
I'm feeling like I want to rage right now.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. E-double-L, I said so. I keep big bills up in my heart on the dirty like Bledsoe. Ain't got no twist in my head, but I'm still dreadful. And I got plenty of bread, so I go to bed full. I'm in it to win it, I'm all in. I might call you my cuz, young blood, but we ain't kin. You think of jumping, man, you best think again. The dirty, I'm the type of man that might go broke for revenge. Had some not so nice friends, kick the door off the hinge. Take the door off your bins, pop four of your friends. Man, please, this shit ain't cynical. Man, no subliminal, I'm physical, financial, and mental to be a general. Hey, the mama claims she want a soldier. Not the type be in the tank, but in that Rover. Man, please, I'm in the zone like AIDS full blown. I'm killing it like a blind man reading. I'm feeling it like, oh, yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
Standing 60 feet 6 inches away from the plate, it's crucial for a pitcher to understand the biomechanics of pitching to maximize the pitch velocity and reduce the risk of arm injuries. An MLB pitcher can throw a baseball up to 100 miles per hour, giving the batters 0.4 of a second to react.
.103.
Holy moly.
One of the best hitters in baseball, disposed of by Chapman.
A pitcher's sequence for the windup is as follows. First, he must take a large stride toward the plate, firing his front foot forward. Then he rotates his hips, then his shoulders, then he rotates and extends his arm, and finally fires his hand, releasing the ball. There are many variations to the windup. Here are some examples.
Lonely with you, no one.
1回に3点を取られた野茂なんですが、立ち上がりが今日一つの大きなポイントになりました。
三振です。3回目のアットバットということになります。こういう時星野さん、3打数ノーヒットってのはやっぱり元監督としては嫌ですよね。
嫌ですね。やっぱりね、1本ぐらい出しとけよという思いですね。
さあ阪神タイガースのこの今岡打つかどうか。
実はゴルゴ密かに特訓を重ねた恐るべき魔球を用意していた。
どんな魔球が今日はあるのか。
The stride angle is the maximum opening between the front and showing leg during the pitch. Tim Lincecum's stride angle is 128 degrees. The stride angle is important in pitching because the bigger the stride angle, the more time the pitcher has to get his body up to speed before his lead foot hits the ground.
In the beginning of the pitch, the pitcher hurls his whole body towards the plate until his front foot hits, causing his lower body to stop, which then whips his upper body and arm forward. A larger stride angle, combined with fast hip rotation, enables a pitcher to use the large mass and bigger, stronger muscles of his legs and hips to power the pitch.
Pitchers who have small stride angles often encounter arm injuries because they are forced to overuse their arm to make up for the lack of power that they don't generate from their hips. This pitcher rotates his hips at a full 135 degrees before releasing the ball. One way pitchers can increase their pitch speed is by maximizing their external arm rotation. This pitcher's arm rotation is 65 degrees, whereas other MLB pitchers have an external arm rotation of around 90 degrees.
All of these movements put together illustrates a biomechanical principle involving the transfer of momentum from body to ball, called the sequential summation of movement. According to this principle, the largest body masses move first, followed by the progressively smaller ones. The pitcher drives with his legs, then his hips, shoulders, arm, wrist, and fingers. As each part approaches full extension, the next part in the sequence begins to move, efficiently transferring momentum in a whip-like motion.
When the pitcher is ready to release the ball, he uses a restraining force to cause a radial acceleration, directed toward the center of curvature. When the ball leaves his hand, the radial acceleration no longer exists, and the ball leaves his hand on the path tangent to the curve. Any mistake will lead to an unwanted ball path.
That one missing just a little high, and it goes through the screen. Hello there. Take a look at that, folks, right into your living room. The screen, which was there just for you to get a better look at the game, has been shattered.
When the ball is released into its projectile flight path, the forces affecting the flight are limited to gravity, the initial velocity, and any air resistance. The air resistance is a type of form drag, creating a pressure difference between the lead and rear sides of the ball. If a pitch is released with an initial velocity of 108 miles per hour, it will cross the plate at only 100 miles per hour.
The pitcher may use rotation of their wrist to create a rotational effect on the ball, creating something called the Magnus force. The Magnus force is a lift force created by spin. This leads to a Magnus effect, which is the deviation in the trajectory of a spinning object toward the direction of the spin. In baseball, this is mainly a backspin that creates the Magnus effect, creating a breaking ball pitch such as a curveball and slider. These pitches may have a downward break anywhere from 7 to 20 inches. The ball flight follows Newton's law of linear and angular motion.
Newton's first law is every body remains in a state of constant velocity unless acted upon by an external force. One example of this is getting hit by a pitch.
Whoa! He had a helmet on. Jeez.
Newton's second law is a force applied to a body causes an acceleration of that body of a magnitude proportional to the force and inversely proportional to the body's mass.
Newton's third law is for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. This can also be seen by getting hit in the helmet by a pitch. This shows the helmet receiving an equal and opposite force of the ball that collides with it. The ball also ricochets off the helmet in the opposite direction with the same force.
Get crazy, get wild, let's party, get loud. If you wanna have fun and do something, if you wanna have fun and do something, get crazy.
The laws of physics tells us that the force of the pitch is greatly affected by the power generated in the legs as the pitcher strides forward and his arm trajectory. The larger the radius of rotation, the greater the linear distance traveled by a point on a rotating body. Thus, the taller the pitcher, the greater advantage he has. A taller pitcher has longer legs and arms, allowing more angular momentum to accumulate, which then allows a pitch with less force to still accomplish the same velocity as one being pitched by a shorter legged pitcher.
In conclusion, for a pitcher to attain maximum velocity on their pitch, they must have a large stride angle, large radius of rotation, and maximized hip rotation.
The resulting movements are defined as the sequential summation of movements, which creates the perfect pitch.
Rotation put on the ball by the pitcher causes a Magnus force, or a lift created by spin, which causes the ball to curve.
Overall, we hope this video will prevent you from throwing like these guys.